As a podcaster, I listen to podcasts, right? There's things to learn. And there's this small podcast. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called Meat Eater.
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? Yeah. It's a growing podcast.
Okay.
And their latest episode was really quite interesting. It was about the bob white quail.
The bobbies, little Bobby White.
The bob white quail, and what they were talking about on the podcast, and they had this gentleman called Ron Kendall on the show, and what they were saying was that there was a decreasing population in the amount of bob white quail.
Low on the Bobby.
Low on the bobby. So what was interesting about it is that this guy, Ron Kendall, ended up doing studies in regard to why were the bob white quail populations decreasing. And what was found, because he's a professor at Texas Tech, and what they found was that there's this parasite, this worm, the eye worm.
Okay.
And they were taking quail out like no tomorrow, to the point where the populations were decreasing at such a high rate that people weren't hunting them. And I've never hunted quail, Texas, South Carolina, in the South, right? I'm used to the California quail like you are.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear the word quail, it always strikes an interest in me because I love hunting quail.
Yeah.
But this eye worm, we're taking out populations and coveys on the wide. And this guy, Ron Kendall, actually came up with this plan to help the quail population and developed a feed that contained this medicine that if these quail coveys, ate the feed, it would get rid of the worm, similar to like a vaccine. And the populations would grow. Okay. And what was more interesting was the fact that, they did studies on ranches of wild quail, not farm-raised quail, but wild quail. And they found that population increases over years by like 300%. So a ranch next door where their population was declining because of this eye worm, well, where they had this medicated feed that they were feeding these birds, was actually growing by 300%.
Oh, wow.
And what kind of like further got me interested was the fact that this guy, Ron Kendall, actually went to the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration here in the United States of America, and got this medicated feed approved to feed wild birds to help the population.
Wow. I'm surprised they were open to it because they don't like that.
They don't like that. What was so interesting was the fact that they approved a feed that would take care of a wild population. So when it comes to the Food and Drug Administration, to me, it's all about the consumer, domesticated.
You're surprised they cared
product.
about Bobby.
They cared about the bob white quail.
I love the little Bobby.
And it got me interested just because I just thought to myself, wow, where is this heading? Because that just opens up another door to so many different things. If we're talking about FDA-approved medicated feed for quail, there's so many other things out there that could be affected by it.
Well, I mean, that and the fact that the government was able to take on an active role in something that seemed like common sense.
Right.
That could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous, but guess what? For us hunters...
Well, it's good. It's a good one on this one.
It's a good one. So very interesting. And what it made me think about, Langosta, was our own quail.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute.
What's that? What's that? That is the sound of the California quail.
That's California little quail.
And last episode, we had a fishing story. Dude, we got some quail stories.
We got quail stories, man.
Let's get to it.
Let's do this. What's up, guys? It's Langosta and Jojo.
How's it?
And today we're talking about the quail.
The quail. The California quail, our quail hunt in California with a bunch of friends from the Redondo Rod Gun Club. Man, I had a blast.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, since our podcast focuses on California hunting and fishing, this is an awesome episode because most people don't think of California when they think about awesome quail hunting.
Oh, and we had some awesome quail hunting just a couple of weeks ago. I'm still high on the quail hunt that we had, and I can't wait to talk about, where exactly we went, the camaraderie that we had, the Redondo Rod Gun Club, the quail hunt, the money spent on lead-free steel shot, 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch shells.
Yeah. Well, it was really birdie. It was a very birdie place.
Man, what a healthy population.
And, on this picture here, you see some healthily fed hunters at the Redondo Rod Gun Club very graciously took a picture with our flag, the flag freedom, the flag of freedom for hunting and all things hunting and fishing.
And there's a lot of smiling faces up there, too, because the time that we went hunting was during the World Series, Game 1, Game 2 of the World Series with our very own Los Angeles Dodgers. And, being Dodger fans here in Los Angeles and having your team in the World Series, it's always kind of like that nerve-wracking feeling. And we happened to stream live.
Absolutely.
Via Starlink.
Dude, people don't understand this. For a low-budget show, we have access to Elon Musk directly, bro. He hit enter and boom, the World Series was on the screen.
Don't tell our wives that this is a low budget show because the budget is a part of the show.
Yeah, it's a total loss, but let's keep going with that. All right, so we went quail hunting in Central Coast, California.
Yep.
What's the name of the joint? And we'll obviously put
the Carnaza Hunt Club.
The Carnaza Hunt Club. Yeah, it is literally in the middle of nowhere, probably about 45 miles east of Paso Robles.
Oh,
Paso Robles, the path of the oak.
I mean, it couldn't have been a better place. And I know a few of our club members have been going there for the past few years. And we kind of made it an official Redondo Rod Gun Club first club quail hunt. And we had a turnout, man. We had
15, 16 guys.
15, 16 guys.
First of all, he held out on us because that place is amazing. He's been hunting it for a long time. He, to remain nameless, Defrost. And he kept it in the pocket, close to the vest for a long time. And he was holding out on us, man. Here we go. We go to National Forest and this and that. And, and we walk and we burn gas. And, you shoot at 3 quail. And then you walk and you burn gas.
Right.
And you don't see any more quail. And then you walk and you burn gas and the hunt's over.
Right.
Well, that was a very different experience at this joint right here.
It was a very different experience. And like you said, you hunt the national forest, you go quail hunting. And here in California, it's a beautiful season. October 19th was the first day of the quail season, and it goes on till January 26th. And for the past few years, the weather that we've had here and the amount of rain that we've had here has really been able to support the habitat to keep a healthy quail population.
Yeah.
And no doubt, I knew for a fact that this year was going to be a good year. Now, going to the Carnaza Hunt Club, you guys went out a little bit earlier than prior to the club coming out. And just the intel that you were providing to us, it just made me super excited to get out there and get out on the hunt.
Well, it was, I had never stayed out that many days on a quail hunt before, so I was there most of the week. I got there Monday. You guys got there the same week, Friday.
How many days were you out there for?
I was out there.
Do you have enough fingers?
The whole week. Yeah, the whole week. I was out there the whole week. But getting back to that video, you see how tall the grass, well, you saw it, but for the audience, you see how tall the grass is, and that's ideal quail habitat. Underneath that grass, there's hundreds and hundreds of little tunnels where those little critters buzz around in. The dog feels like he's swimming through soup because the grass is so tall. And the thicker the stuff is, the more you can feel when your feet are shuffling under there, all those little hollow tunnels.
Yeah, and it definitely kind of redefines quail hunting because prior to this trip, I knew about coveys. But you know what I learned on this trip?
Multiple coveys?
Super coveys.
Oh, that was I coined that. Super covey.
That's a hashtag in its own. Hashtag super covey.
Yeah. So a super covey, look, a great covey is 20 quail.
Yeah.
An amazing covey is 50 quail. And when you get hit with the sound of 100, 150, 200 quail, that's what you call a super covey.
And we ran into some super coveys.
Yeah.
And the stories that you told prior to us even getting there as a club, it was just like, how the heck are we going to manage this? And the part about super coveys that I found out later is that it's harder to kill a quail when it's a part of a super covey than a normal national forest, public land covey where you have the opportunity to aim. I just got like sensory overloaded with these super coveys where it was just like, which one do I shoot?
That's the biggest the biggest thing that I don't think anybody, well, first of all, no one's ever, I had not, up until the time I went there, I had never seen that many quail like that, right?
Yeah.
So when you first see it, you're like, what the F? Like, you're in shock.
Yeah.
And then in your mind, it's like, shoot, shoot, shoot. And then it's like, which one? Because they're like flying into each other and
all over the place.
It's chaos. It's just unmitigated. Boom, it explodes. The sound of the wings fluttering. And then you're worried that the guy next to you is going to shoot you and going to Dick Cheney you in the face because he's excited too, right? And it's like, and then everybody starts shooting. Bah, 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 bah.
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy. It's just pandemonium.
With my 2020 vision, I felt like a blind man holding a shotgun. Just so many birds, I just did not know which one to shoot, and it was awesome, man.
Yeah,
I mean, the amount of birds that the habitat held on that land was just amazing, and the fact, and we've spoken about this before too. I must say that one of my favorite hunts is a good quail hunt.
Yeah.
And why I like a good quail hunt is because you're out there, you're hunting, you've got your shotgun, and you're just walking around. But the thrill and just the rush of when a quail covey flushes, it's undescribable. The sound that they make and the feeling that you get, and then just being able to boom, boom, boom.
Shoot, shoot, shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I was saying it as part of a joke, but there were guys not shooting, right? So I was like, I had to remind you, like, this is the quail hunting shooting part. Like, when they fly, you shoot.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of, again, I think it's just the novice in all of us, right? When you see a flush happen and then another flush happens, and then you're like chasing, you're walking at a brisk pace to try and catch up to them.
Yeah.
Because they'll fly, a block or two. And one of the guys in the club was like, hey, man, you're walking too fast. I'm like, hey, bro, you got problems if you think I'm walking. I'm not walking fast. I'm like, so this is kind of like, not to be a smart ass about it, but one of the things that I didn't realize it until this trip was that when you shoot them, even when you hit them and you stun them, you'll stun them and they'll start running. They'll start running in the grass. So you got to keep the pressure on to keep them bumping, right? So you can pick off 2 or 3, bump them again, pick off 2 or 3. And before you know it, you'll have your limits.
Yep.
But if you don't stay after them and keep the pressure on, you may not even get another shot off.
Yeah. With the amount of people that we had, there were enough birds for people to get shots off.
Sure.
And I think the good thing about this trip for me was the fact that you guys were there earlier than most of the club got there and got that intel, right?
Right.
So my whole plan was that I went into, my ammo, and I said, okay, let me grab this box, let me grab that box, let me grab this box. And really what I was looking for was my steel shot 6-shot. Right. So I was going to go up there to hunt quail with the 6-shot.
Yeah. And
based off of the information that we got from you, it was like, wow, I don't think I have enough boxes of
6-shot steel shot.
6-shot.
Yeah.
So luckily for me, LAX Ammo was having a great sale on all types of ammo. And I put in a phone call the day before we left, or I left for the trip. And I said, hey guys, do you guys have some steel shot on sale, preferably in 6-shot? They said, oh, yeah, we got this sale going on. So I went down to LAX Ammo, gave them my real ID license and bought a whole case of 6-shot steel shot, and I was like, I'm ready to rock, and I needed it.
Look, I'm going to tell you something. Before this hunt, I've never bought. You may find this hard to believe, but I've never bought shotgun ammo by the case, right? Like, last year,
Neither have I.
last year it was a disaster. I had my 20 gauge and the shot was too big. It was like a 7 and I just couldn't get the distance. If those birds were further out than 25 yards, forget it.
You're done.
Nothing. I mean, it didn't even hit them. I didn't even see feathers.
Right.
But this trip, I changed my gear. I brought in my Spanish beauties. I went in on some nice steel shot. So there's a picture of me holding my Spanish beauty. And I took lessons from Al over at More and More. Shout out to Al. He's a great instructor there. If you were blind, deaf, and dumb like I was behind a shotgun, Al will get you straight. So I took a lesson from him. I've spent probably 5-6 cases of ammo going to More and More, getting my stuff dialed in. But man, that shotgun was beautiful. It was 6.5 pounds, super light. I walked with it all day. And I got a lot of practice using the second trigger, so you get that second shot really quick. That's, in my opinion, it is the fastest second shot on a flying bird that you're going to get. So there was definitely a few birds that I picked up on the second shot.
So how many times did you end up at More and More Clays to kind of practice? Because I know I joined you guys. We had one night shoot, the Wednesday night where they host their barbecues, and that was awesome.
Yeah, so I think I did a total of three or four night shoots. I did a Saturday with my dad and another day by myself. I think it was 5 cases for sure. So it was 5 trips. Yeah, it was a case a trip. It's funny. At the first, when I went with Paul, I'd thrown out my back. So I think when I went with Paul, we were shocked that we shot like 6 boxes. Right? I never shot 6 boxes at a sporting clay place. And man, by the time we were done going to these night shoots, it was 10 boxes per night. I mean, I got the second shotgun just to keep it cool because the shotgun barrels were on fire. So
it was a blast, man. And what blew my mind was, to your point, it's like, okay, you don't expect to shoot so many boxes of shells at just, a range or shooting at clays, but bringing that case of shells to a quail hunt where you're actually hunting birds was just like, there's no way I'm going to go through this.
It's unheard of. It's unheard of on private land to say, I'm taking a case of ammo. Like, dude, are you going to miss?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
247 times?
You can't hunt when it's dark.
So, yeah, it's just, look, it's about your setup. It's about your preparedness, right? Your ability to shoot. And I definitely got skilled up. I got limits. I did good. I can't complain. I feel like it was first of all, I had a better time in the sense that because my gear was right, I was successful, right, for what I wanted to accomplish. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get my gear right, and I wanted to get enough practice that I would down some birds. And it's amazing to me how when you don't have something as simple as even the wrong shells, how much you can lose. You lose out. You lose out on the fun. You lose out on the success.
Right. And just to kind of give the lay of the land for the people that are out there listening, where we did go hunt at the Carnaza Hunt Club, it's a beautiful place. Tons and tons of acres to hunt. What I loved about it was just the fact that we went out there with a bunch of the gang from the Redondo Rod Gun Club. In terms of the hunters that were there, we had a mix. We had a mix of experienced quail hunters. Yeah. We had a mix of people that have gone hunting or quail hunting for a couple of times. Right. And then we had hunters that were on the hunt the first time ever hunting.
Yeah, never hunted before. Never shot.
This was their first.
Some people
experience.
Never shot a shotgun before.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were out there, you knew that they would have a great time and just learn so much from this experience. And a bunch of us there at the facility, they had a couple of trailers that had a couple of beds. You had a fully functional restroom with toilets and shower, and then everybody who had a trailer brought their trailer and parked up, and we set up camp. And camp, whenever you go on these club hunts or when you have a group of guys that enjoy the same things, camp is part of the experience and one of the best parts.
100%. And we had my cousin Randy was over there showing folks around, and a bit of hospitality to be seen in future episodes.
He was there.
Yeah. He did a full walkthrough on his place, and it was kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, definitely. Cousin Randy was just like, he was enjoying himself, man.
Yeah.
He had a great time.
He was at home.
Yeah, he called that one trailer a mansion.
Yep. Yeah, it's the Redneck Hilton. Redneck Hilton.
But the camaraderie that was there,
Sure.
and camp was that was there. You know, you got the campfire, you've got the Dodgers in the World Series, you know, streaming via Starlink, and you know, everybody brought food.
Oh, yeah.
So there was enough food to go around, and then just, you know, drinking beer and some Mount Gay whiskey.
Yeah. That was a special alcoholic beverage of the Mountain Gay.
Yeah, so
That was a gift, by the way. That was a gift to the show.
luckily for us, we've got some friends with dogs, not friends with boats, but friends with dogs. And we had a few dogs with us that were on the hunt. And the night that we got there and set up camp, you had just got back from Paso Robles. So you had a great time there. And then we met up with you, set up camp, had a great time that evening, and set up for the hunt the next morning, where Matt, Alex, and Charlie would take us out. And they had the full setup. They've got trucks if you need vehicles to go around hunting. They've got their trucks set up to take everybody out to all the spots that they go to, and they assist in spotting the quail, the coveys, and all of that. And we actually got to take the dually out for a little 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, I got to take my dually out. I managed to own her for 6 years without scraping the crap out of her, and she got her skirt scraped. But it's all good. It's fun. Yeah, you know, those roads are no joke. Those roads in the back end are pretty rough. So.
They were, man. Rough and narrow.
Rough and narrow, yeah.
But
I wish we would have had the Jeep up there instead.
That Jeep is nice, man.
Yeah, we got to pop her cherry here pretty soon. Got to take her out on the dirt. She gets washed 3 times a month.
You've got to match her up with her name.
Yeah.
The Mojave needs to be in Mojave soon.
The Mojave, yeah. I think maybe this weekend we'll go take a look at my place out there. So Brian, what footage we got up here of our hunting adventures we can talk about? So as you can tell, it's from an earlier clip. The coveys are definitely in the thick stuff, and we got Cooper in the peripheral there, and then Charlie is eager. Charlie is our junior hunter. He's eagerly looking for a bird because he hasn't shot a bird yet, but he is.
Charlie was on the prowl, and he hunted hard.
He sure did.
He did a great job.
For little dude, he put in some real time.
And the instructions were walk the fence line.
That's right. So when Paul walked this fence line, he bumped 3 coveys. It was insane. And the reason you walk the fence line first, where I was in this video, is that the fence line is the neighbor's fence. So if the birds go to the left, you can't go in chasing them. So ideally you want to flush them into the property, and then to the right you can see the mountains in the background. So hypothetically, if we flush them on our side, you keep chasing them until they go over the ridge.
Well, I don't think, but I know the good thing about the place that we hunted was that it offered all types of topography.
Oh yeah.
You had flatlands, you had hills, you had mountains, anything you could think of.
Oh yeah.
It was just awesome. And we had so many people and so many hunters that you could spread out.
Sure.
And take different tracks.
Yeah. And here on the road, you see Raker and the Cooper, the dog, along with Charlie. They're walking the road, but the covey flushed up on that hill. So this is kind of I don't know, maybe about an hour after we walked the fence line, because that fence line is to the left of us, and we're still hunting the area of the mountain that the birds got flushed to.
Right.
So Cooper, he's trippy. He's running around. He can smell them, but it was real hot by that point, and it's really hard to locate him. But they're scent everywhere. You can see the dog is definitely motivated by the fact that there's birds around.
And also, I was highly motivated because as you guys were pushing birds on the road, they were flying uphill, and guess who was uphill?
You and Misha. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so that's the thing, right? Like, to your point, there's a little bit of hunting for everybody. If you want to hunt in the flats,
right?
You're not maybe in the best shape, or you don't got your cardio set up, no problem. You want to go and be more aggressive and go up and down the hills like billy goats, you can do that too. And there were a lot of canyons that once you went over the saddle, you can be into another canyon, right? So really the chase goes on as long as your legs will allow.
Yeah, I think one of the best things about quail hunting too is the fact that, they're not flying for miles once they're flushed. If you've got enough eyes, you can find and you can relocate the covey really quickly and then get your, your second shot. You could split the covey, you could do whatever you want, but, just finding the birds is the battle, and there were a lot of birds there. We had a great time, and again, there was so much steel that we left out there. I just can't say enough that it was a great quail hunt, no doubt about it.
So in here, you got Fish and his dog Ziva, the poster child of good-looking Gaffons.
I don't know which one is the princess, Ziva or Misha.
Well, I think it's probably a little bit of both, but mostly the dog. So, case in point of your princess dog. The dog is supposed to be in the grass looking for birds, and yet she's on the road looking for shade.
Well, she learned really fast based off of where we were hunting. You didn't really need to be in the bush to flush the birds.
Yeah, they pretty much were where they were. So wherever you bumped them, that's where they'd be.
Yeah.
Here's a wide shot of us pretty spread out, right? There's quite a bit of people on the field. It's a good shot. Okay, so they had turned around. They had gone up the canyon already, and then they were going into the flats. They were walking the flats all the way back to the fence line.
And this is where it split the hunters.
Yeah, looking for downed birds.
Yep, that's me on my search for the quail that I shot, and I knew I shot, but I just could not locate it, and it just got into my head that I need to locate this quail. So I started gritting and looking while you guys kind of went along and pushed forward. The plan was to find the bird that I know I downed, and I did eventually find that quail, and then kind of head in the opposite direction. There was enough of you going in that direction, and as you guys continue to walk, as I remember and as I recall, that's when you guys kind of busted that super covey that we talked about a little bit earlier in the show. But at this point, I'm just kind of searching. I know as we flushed a few coveys that I had one down, and I wasn't giving up the search. And that's one of those things that when you shoot a quail, they are perfectly camouflaged to that type of environment, and you may think like, okay, I've got a spot on where this bird is going to be after it's shot. You have no idea.
It's hard.
They are so camouflaged that it is very difficult. And if you're not hunting if you don't have your own dog by your side working the retrieve, then basically what you're using is what God has given to you, and it is your eyes.
Yeah.
And your eyes.
And your legs to keep walking around in circles.
And your legs to keep walking around in circles. Yeah, that's so true, man.
I definitely have about like 10 minutes worth of Jojo just walking around in a circle trying to find that bird. That's going straight to the archive.
It sucks. It sucks to lose a bird, right? So, especially when they go down hard, right? Like in mid-flight, they just drop. You got them. You just got to find them.
I was totally fixated on finding this bird because I was 100% confident that it was in that area.
Yeah. It was, unfortunately, you lose a few, so.
You do, and that's a part of the game. And here, this is kind of our caravan. This is what we did during the day. Again, the guys at the hunt club, they provided the vehicles. Obviously, you had your own vehicle. Sly had his own vehicle, and wherever we'd spot the coveys, we'd get out. We'd go on pursuit. It's not like we were walking miles and miles away from the caravan, but it just kept on moving, and we covered some ground because
we covered
through the end,
18 miles was the loop.
That's a big loop. 18 miles is no joke.
On Hyundai.
Yeah. From where I live, that's there and back from the airport. Yeah. So
that was a big loop that we covered on the cars.
Right. And it's not just a straight loop. You're driving up hills, down hills, going 5 miles per hour, breaking the speed limit of 2 miles per hour.
What was your count, you think, on your pedometer?
So I actually broke my record. I've got a Garmin watch, and I scaled over 33,000 steps, and the floors climbed ended up being 150 something floors climbed.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. And by the end of the day, my legs and my body were just tired that it was no longer my muscles moving. It was just my brain saying, keep on moving. But, I got a kick out of that, man. I got a really big kick out of that. And, this is the best time of year for hunters. For me, it's the time where, you've got big game hunting, you've got deer hunting, you've got elk hunting, coming off of the Colorado hunt where I was out there for a week and a half and then going on this quail hunt. It was just really pushing the fitness. And for me, hunting's a lot about, the experience of going out there and doing that, but fitness as well. So it was challenging. And coming back and seeing like 33,000 steps and 150 floors climbed, it was like,
that's crazy.
I didn't know I was going to wake up that next morning and feel like going hunting again.
No, well, when you're at the campfire and you feel like everything tightening up, and you're like, I need to drink more, but you still feel tightening up. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to look like tomorrow? But it's funny. You just drink enough water and pop a couple ibuprofens and it works out all right.
You definitely need the water. And then also at the campfire that night, it was about the Thero body massager.
Oh, that thing was amazing. Jesus.
Wasn't it?
Oh my God, yeah.
That thing hits the spot, man. You hit your quads, you hit your hamstrings, you hit the calves, you hit your feet, then you feel like a new man.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, we had a great time though.
So anything else to add on the hunt? Obviously, we're going to have a full episode on that later on, but I wanted to share with them a little bit of what the deal was.
Yeah, we will have a full episode for sure. As you can see here, kind of in this footage that Brian, the engineer, has put up. This is Misha. These are some of the hills that we're scaling, and there was a bunch of quail up on the hills.
They would hold tight. They would just fly from
ridge to ridge, and if you just kept the same elevation, you'd re-bump and reflush the covey. But overall, I've got to say that we had a great experience. It was nice to have the Redondo Rod Gun Club, the first annual quail hunt. The team that they had over there that took us out hunting, they put us out on all the spots. And again, as we talked about it, one of the best things for me was the fact that I've gone quail hunting before, you've gone quail hunting before, but for hunters that have friends that get into the sport that we love so much, to see them experience it for the first time is really one of the greatest rewards. And I know for the fact the people that did experience quail hunting for the first time, they'll never forget it.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't think that that's how it's going to always be when they go into the national forest.
It's not going to be that way for sure.
Like, where's all the quail?
They might need some quail guard, like I talked about a little bit earlier.
Quail guard, yeah. Need a freaking intervention because they're going to be like, where the hell's all the quail?
Yep. But we did have a great time, and as we mentioned, there's going to be another episode that kind of highlights all the video, all the action that took place, because camp wasn't just about campfires. It was about shooting at night. We had some tannerite. Yeah. We had a good time.
Definitely had a good time. It was a beautiful time, but we have to bring the show to the next segment, which is, I think Cousin Randy's in.
Cousin Randy.
I think Cousin Randy's
He's back.
In. Cousin Randy's in. We got a little bit of, by the way, if you haven't done so already, make sure you send all of your camp mail to Cousin Randy. And what's the email address, Brian?
Are you ready for this? Grab a pen, a paper, and a dictionary.
It's Mullet Mail at riflesrodsandbroads.com.
Mullet Mail at riflesrodsandbroads.com. All right, make sure you do that. Mullet Mail, by the way, is you can maybe have a stoolie telling on your friends, a gripe that you have about a particular thing that happened. Maybe you just want to talk a little bit about your experience on the field doing hunting and fishing stuff.
Our mailbox has been overflowing, so I think we have to get rid of some of these letters.
Oh, I think we got some airmail here, but let me get a hold of Cousin Randy. Hey, Randy, come on in here. Boy, my turn? Is it my turn yet? All right, I'm getting into my studio. Hold on a second. Let me put my little clothes on.
I can't wait to talk story with Cousin Randy. Randy has been a part of this podcast, Rifles, Rods, and Broads. And while Randy gets here, I just want to say and reiterate, thank you guys very much for liking and subscribing to Rifles, Rods, and Broads. If you haven't already done so, we are on YouTube. We are on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcast. We are all over the place, Rifles, Rods, and Broads. So please like and subscribe. And Randy, it looks like you found your way to the studio.
Well, what's going on, boys and girls? Here's Cousin Randy. How you doing today?
Cousin Randy, you have been a popular addition to our podcast. Mail has been coming in to our mullet mailbox.
Yeah, baby.
And I've got something for you.
Send it to me, airmail. Send it to me, airmail. Oh, here we go. All right, boys and girls. Hey, by the way, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you send me your camp mail to Mullet Mail at Rifles, Rods, and Broads. You haven't done so already, okay, boys? Boys, this week's show, we have special air delivery, and it's from Juan SS. And the letter reads, I really am interested in hunting quail and pheasant. On a recent trip, I realized that I have to be in good shape. Well, boy, I sympathize with you because round is a shape, and I happen to be plus a 2X round. After a quick scoot down the hill, I realized my old age has caught up with me, and my pals outpaced me every single time. So I had to turn my sneakiness on, and I jumped out of the car when they weren't looking, and snapped a few skillet shots in their absence. Now, those fast little buggers did get away from me, but I managed to really kind of upset my pals. The problem is that my pals were not pleased with me, the fact that I skipped out on them and started shooting before they were ready to go. I need to make amends with my fellow hunters, and I want to understand with you, what do you think, Randy, is the best way to make amends with my little pals there that I did a little sneakiness on?
That sounds like a real problem that Juan SS presented to you, Cousin Randy.
Now, one is that, your little pals have to be understand the fact you got a little handicap, meaning you got a little bit too much in the midriff. And the midriff is, for those of you that don't have a midriff, you got a lot of friction. If you're taking a physics in the physics class, you understand that mass equals MC squared divided by pi will create a lot of friction. You understand? So when you can be a sneaky little bastard and pop off a couple of skill shots, you should be able to get a mulligan for that. Now, the fact, Juan, you missed said skillet shot means, boy, you got to go in and do a little bit of range time. You understand what I'm saying? A little bit of range time will solve all those kinds of little problems. Now, in order for you to make amends with your little buddies over there, what you need to do is go ahead and buy them at least one box of shotgun shells, lead-free, since you're in communist California. And I think that should be all good with them. And then, of course, buy them a little beer that'll smooth things over and say you weren't too much of a jackass, but it was mostly because you're handicapped. Anyway, that concludes this week's Mullet Mail. And if you have any funny stories or anything else to add that you want read on camera, please go ahead and send me an email at mulletmail at Rifles, Rods, and Broads. By the way, the website is fired up. It's ready for action. Go to www.riflesrodsandbroads.com and check out the stuff. Hey, wait a minute. We got some merch.
We got some merch, Cousin Randy. Check this out.
Okay.
Look at that merch.
Show that beautiful shirt you got over there.
In the words of Game of Thrones, winter is coming, and we've got some Rifles, Rods, and Broads hoodies in multiple colors.
Oh, baby. Now, I got to tell you something, man. I'm a straight heterosexual, but you look very sexy in that. Very sexy indeed, Jojo.
The black is slender making.
Man, I need jet black. Get anybody some jet black? Anyway, all I got here is green, but this is a green one right here, and we got some other colors.
We got green, we've got black, we've got heather gray, Rifles, Rods, and Broads hoodies. So hit us up. Our price for the hoodies is going to be $40. We also have some tees that are still available for $20. So head over to the website, email us, and we'll get you some Rifles, Rods, and Broads merch. Cousin Randy, that was some great advice, and I'm pretty sure that the next time that Juan SS goes out hunting, that he'll have additional information to ensure his success, whether it's a skillet shot or flying shot, and it looks like he's on his way to make amends with his friends.
That's right. Gotta be good. Gotta be good to your little buddies over there, because when I ain't a little buddy, you got nobody to go hunting with, and hunting by yourself ain't fun at all.
Man.
So if you haven't done so already, please make sure to get some merch. We need we got a bad gun addiction, and we need to pay for all this stuff over here. So please contribute to the show.
I don't know if we've got a bad gun addiction, but your cousin Langosta
got all kinds of problems. That boy, don't worry about him, right?
So thank you, Cousin Randy, for joining us once again. You are racking up those frequent flyer miles, and appreciate you joining the podcast for another episode of Mullet Mail.
Well, I appreciate that. Mullet Mail sure is fun. But I'm not gone yet. We got more to go.
We do have more to go, and we are excited to share again with you a video coming out with our quail hunt that was at the Carnaza Hunt Club, the Redondo Rod Gun Club first annual quail hunt. We had a great time. This is a small piece of the story because there's so much more tales to tell, and we all had a great time. Lots of footage, and right now we're going to move on to some Redneck Rants with Cousin Randy.
Due to the fact that I'm unemployed, I got second segment here, boys and girls.
That's a mare time.
Yes, sir. It's a second segment. So on Redneck Rants is where I get to express myself in a way that most of you get fired from if you did the same. And today's Redneck Rants is RVs. Now, for those of you who know, I am an RV aficionado. I know all things RV, especially vintage 1975 RVs. But today, I want to point out, as a public service announcement, that there's some things that you non-RVers do that can chop the hide of those RVers of us. And
Tell us more.
And one of these things is when you go to the favorite restaurant to release yourself and grab a little bite to eat, you can't park your goddamn car in the RV only parking lot. Does this little black Camaro here, look like an RV to you? Well, no, sir. No, it is not. The pan over to the left. I'm a little queefer over there. Park this little car. Look, wait. Hold it right there. That, sir, that little car right there is from Santa Monica. Yeah, it should be shot at least. I mean, no, don't shoot at the person. Just shoot the tires out. That's what.
It looks like a Tesla as a hybrid.
No, it's one of those little Prius things, a little queefer car from Santa Monica. You don't want that. You don't want that. You definitely don't want that in the RV parking area right there. You understand what I'm saying? RV parking is for RVers. The RVers can't park anywhere else. That's why they have a goddamn RV parking area. So please, for Christ's sake, have a little bit of decency and don't park your damn car in the RV parking lot. Now, I make an exception for that Toyota Tacoma right there, because when that boy opened up his little hatcher, had a little chickadoodle in there, but they had guns. They're shotguns, and you can see a little thing on top. Them boys is quail hunting. Now, I'm lightly chapped out that they parked in my thing, but they get a little bit of a pass because of the fact that they're out there quail hunting, like every red-blooded American should be doing quail season. Thank you very much for participating in this week's Randy's Rants. And today, Jojo, that was my only rant. No real shots were fired in the making of this segment.
Well, it definitely sounded like a redneck rant, and lessons learned there. If it says RV parking, you must have an RV in possession to occupy the parking spot. So, Cousin Randy, thank you very much again for joining us for Mullet Mail, along with some Redneck Rants. Unbeatable, man. Great advice. So, if you guys are taking notes out there, make sure you guys take notes in regard to what Cousin Randy has shared with us, because it'll make your life a lot easier. So, Cousin Randy, your cousin's back, Langosta. Welcome back.
Oh, great to be back. It was a quick little rest there. Thank you very much for that. And Randy, I always appreciate your input and your sage advice. Sage.
Man, he's a genius. Geniuses talk to geniuses, and he's got some great advice.
I can hardly tell where the relation is, but, it worked out. So what's next? What's next? Next episode is going to be on.
So next episode, that's in the thought process. We've got to brainstorm about what our next episode is going to be here on Rifles, Rods, and Broads. But I do know that we've got footage of our quail hunt that's coming out, similar to our pheasant hunt. And talking about the pheasant hunt, we might have to do part 2.
Man, I think that we may be able to squeeze a pheasant hunt either in early December or realistically probably mid-January.
Yeah, I'm thinking mid-January is probably going to be around the time that we have our pheasant hunt coming up, because there's a lot of things going on. It's the season. You know, driving here to do the podcast and it's 5 o'clock and pitch dark.
Yeah.
I hate daylight savings time.
Yeah.
I swear we voted that
We could do a Redneck Rants on daylight savings time, but that could be another episode on its own. So no, I agree with you. I think realistically, logistically, it's looking like January.
Yeah, we'll do that. But in between that time, we'll have a bunch of more episodes. We're probably going to be going live once again.
Oh yeah, I love doing live shows.
I love the live shows because it gets, it gives the opportunity for our listeners and our followers to interact.
Well, let's put out another bump about the new merch that we have. We're going to make it pretty soon so that you can actually purchase it online. Right now, you just have to send us a message and we'll get your info and we'll get all the shipping details and get it out to you. But in the near future, our goal is to be able to have you purchase it and get it sent by mail. And
yeah, we'll do that. Rifles, Rods, and Broads. Again, we've got tees. We've got hoodies. Hoodies are going to be $40. The T-shirts are going to be $20. You've seen them on the episodes before. But really what we need from you is your like and your subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Rifles, Rods, and Broads. And again, the podcast is streamed on your favorite podcasting streaming station, whether via Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts.
Make sure you subscribe, guys. We're trying to break 200. Help us break 500. We need 500.
We're going big. Go big or go home. So help us like and subscribe to Rifles, Rods, and Broads. We really appreciate you following us, watching our videos, and we'll continue to bring more to you. Langosta and myself, Jojo, mahalo for listening. Thank you very much. Aloha. Until next time, signing off.
See you guys.